Yeah, you can tell them now. It's official.
Let's do this. Visca el Barça.
As Marcus Rashford moved to Barcelona, it's revealed he'll wear the iconic 14 shirt that was previously worn by Thierry Henry. Hi there, welcome to the Transfer Show. Coming up, we'll look at what Rashford's departure could mean for Manchester United's transfer plans for the rest of the summer. Dharmesh and James Green are alongside me tonight. Plus, find out what Mikel Arteta had to say about Victor Gyökeres and his potential move to Arsenal. While Chelsea are looking to strengthen further with the clubs in talks to sign RB Leipzig midfielder Xavi Simons. But first, Manchester United forward Marcus Rashford has completed Manchester United's long loan move to Barcelona. The deal includes an option to buy him next summer, which we understand to be around £26 million. And Gary is behind us and has been listening in to the new Barcelona player. Gary, what did he have to say? I mean, it was quite an introduction from that telephone box, wasn't it?
Yeah, just to clarify, this is not the last Gary who was the last Englishman to play for Barcelona. Gary Lineker, of course. This is Gary Cottrell, who's never played for Barcelona or Manchester United or Aston Villa and was never likely to. But yeah, what a tour de force that was from Marcus Rashford. Just behind me, it lasted a good 30 minutes. He looked smart. He was very, very happy, smiling all over his face, handled the questions really well and just spoke about how much he's enjoyed being in Barcelona for the last 48 hours or so. He arrived on Sunday night. He says it's a great dressing room, great players who he's already getting along with, a great management team. The club, he says, one of the top clubs in the world, a club that he is honoured to play for. He wants to win things for the fans. He wants to win things for himself, of course. And as I say, lots and lots of questions just about how happy he is after a summer of speculation, after hearing that he only wanted to leave Manchester United for one place, and that was Barcelona. Just how happy he was to be at this iconic club.
I want to win the biggest trophies, and I feel like Barcelona, the club, is obviously a huge club in the football world. So it's the perfect place to go and win the biggest trophies. And you see with the team last season, they have a very young team, ambitious team, and I want to come here and add my qualities, my personality, and try to improve the team and help them win. It's a unique club, so everything about the club is special. And yeah, of course, to wear this shirt is an honour, and I am ready to do my best for the club. And like I said, it for me is about winning. And all my life growing up, and I've of course watched many Barcelona games, and the club is about winning. Of course, it's about enjoyment, to express yourself, and the players that have worn this shirt, they have all expressed themselves in their own way for the club. But ultimately, the club is built on winning, and I'm here to try and add to this history.
And Gary, you mentioned he looked happy. The body language was good, wasn't it? He looks like he's ready for a new challenge. Very different from the Rashfords that we've seen at United and training by himself. What did he have to say about Manchester United?
Yeah, 100%, Gail, you're right. And I think if you were here, the aura was even more so, that he was so happy that this could be another good part in what's been an up and down recent history in his career. If I move slightly out the way and we just go into that area over there, you can see that's where that 30-minute or so meeting the media was held. That whole area that you could see around the outside was packed with journalists and cameramen. I would say about 100 journalists and cameras, most of them from Spain, and virtually all of the questions, in fact all of the questions, were from Spanish reporters or Catalan reporters. No English reporters were allowed to ask questions, and I think that's because there was a cooperation here between Manchester United and Barcelona, and in fact Marcus Rashford's own personal representatives who were here for this, going around asking what questions were going to be asked. And I think they wanted to keep it all positive. They wanted to talk about going forward rather than looking back, and I think that's why, understandably, at the unveiling of this player, which they've worked so hard to get, Barcelona, they decided in the end not to allow any English questions, just in case there was any negative slant to the questions about what went wrong at Manchester United, about how determined were you to come to Barcelona, about have you got a message for the Manchester United fans. They wanted to look ahead to Barcelona, but he was asked about Manchester United, why he was a different, his demeanour was different now to what it was maybe a year ago, 6 months ago, and what he felt about the whole situation at Manchester United, and he tried to keep it positive.
I don't have anything bad to say about Manchester United. I think it's been an important part of not only my career but just my life. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to play for them. But football is the same as life, and not everything goes as simple as you may have thought. And yeah, this is my next step, my next chapter, and I'm right now I'm in a good place. I'm happy. I'm healthy. And like I said, I am eager to get going. It's one thing to say you are, motivated and determined, but these are things that they can change day to day, depending on how you're feeling. But really, the thing that I bring back to my life, not just the sport, is the discipline. And the discipline is something that stays regardless of if you wake up, you don't feel like it today. The discipline is the thing that keeps you going. So, like I said, my overall message is that I'm happy to be here.
Well, Gary, there has been quite the fanfare, hasn't there, today? Everyone has got very, very excited. I guess the question we have to ask, though, is are Barcelona actually going to be able to register Rashford?
Excited is the word, Gail. It was so packed over there and it's so warm and humid here, as you know, that's why I've turned red. So apologies for that. It is very, very exciting, very, very warm. Yeah, he talked about being happy and healthy, didn't he, Marcus Rashford, in that last burst that we heard from him. But Barcelona's finances, once again, are neither happy or healthy because they're having the same old story with Barcelona and whether or not they can actually afford the wages that he's going to be on. Big wages, obviously they're not the wages he's reduced by, we understand, around 15% or so the wages he's on at Manchester United, but they're still going to pay all those wages, so it's a hefty bill. And they're in breach at the moment of La Liga financial rules. They have to earn in the Liga what they spend, and for another season, and we've heard it time and again, they haven't done that. They need to get some money into their bank accounts and quick to register Marcus Rashford. Otherwise, the rules say they won't be able to register him. They've got plans, they say, to do that. Executive box tickets, the new stadium, which isn't complete yet. That's another issue. Selling players, getting other players out on loan to get their wages off the books. So they're fairly relaxed that by the time the season starts, they will have registered Marcus Rashford. In the meantime, he's getting on a plane with his new teammates tomorrow to fly to the Far East for 3 friendly games in the Far East, which, of course, because they're not official competition games, he can play in, and we understand he will play in.
Brilliant. Gary, thank you very much, and you're looking absolutely fabulous. Don't you worry about that. Now, James, with Rashford gone, what about the other outgoings that we're expecting at Manchester United?
Yeah, well, look, with Manchester United, we've known all summer that there were 5 players who were told to keep away from pre-season training, to search for a future away from Old Trafford. 1 now has gone in Marcus Rashford joining Barcelona. The other 4 on your screen behind you still remain. Let's start with Alejandro Garnacho, just 21 years old. He's got a contract until 2028. Huge potential, Argentina international already, but Ruben Amorim has made it clear the future isn't for him at Old Trafford. Now, we know Chelsea were interested in the player and are still interested in the player, but they have signed a player like Jamie Gittins, very similar mould of a player. Doesn't totally rule Chelsea out, but likely scenario if Chelsea come back in is that they sell some of their current crop of players. Aston Villa, another club remaining interested. Thing with Garnacho is that Manchester United signed him for very little as a youngster. So regardless of what profit they make, it's going to be big profit, which they can then use to reinvest in the squad. So even if, say, they valued this player at around 60, 70 million at the start of the year, and maybe that's dropped to, say, 40 million pounds, it's still, they'll see it as pretty good business. So Alejandro Garnacho is one of those players still surplus to requirements at United, but he's not the only one, is he?
Yeah. James mentioned about Garnacho and Chelsea. Well, we know that Jadon Sancho was at Chelsea last season on loan. They didn't take up the obligation to buy, so Manchester United received a £5 million penalty fee from Chelsea because they didn't take up the obligation. United still want to release Jadon Sancho. They want to sell him on a permanent deal, if at all possible. Dialogue is open between Juventus and Manchester United over the potential signing of Jadon Sancho, as it is between Jadon Sancho's representatives and Juventus. Now, Juventus are working on sales before they can do a deal for Sancho, because their big priority in this window was to sign Francisco Conceição from Porto. They've effectively done that now. But to bring in someone like Sancho, one or both of Timothy Weah and Nicolas Gonzalez would have to be sold for them to be able to go into the market again to bring in someone like Jadon Sancho. If it doesn't happen, because there's still a big doubt whether he will end up at Juventus, there are a number of other clubs in Europe who are interested in Jadon Sancho. But Manchester United want to get this deal done sooner rather than later.
He's not the only one. Anthony's another one that United would rather sell. They want to sell him. Remember, he went on loan to Real Betis last season. Performed really well. Performed well in that Conference League final defeat, albeit to Chelsea too. Actually had a promising spell, showed signs of what sort of player he was. But this is a tricky one for Manchester United. It's a player they paid £82 million for. He's still got 2 years left of his contract. They know the future's not at Old Trafford for him. Real Betis are keen to bring him back, but they are struggling to meet United's demands for a permanent transfer. They would prefer to bring him on loan for another season. United want the permanent transfer. Atletico Madrid are a club that are monitoring the situation, but they have other priorities at the moment, so they might just keep an eye and see where that goes to. Just one other player as well, Terrell Malacia. Now, look, he's a left-footed player. Now, that sounds so basic in terms of giving a description of a player, but there is a huge demand for left-sided players in this transfer window. So I have no doubts that Manchester United will have offers for his services in this window.
And Domesh, if they can shift some, if not all of those players, where will they look to strengthen?
Yeah, look, we should reiterate that the focus totally after they brought in Brian Mbeumo was player sales. But having said that, throughout this transfer window, we have been saying that they are trying to strengthen in the number 9 position. They do want to bring in a striker. They have explored the conditions of a deal for a number of strikers, including Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins, Victor Gyökeres of Sporting, who of course is on his way to Arsenal, and Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea, though his price could be really prohibitive. And interestingly, RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko, who's been linked not only with Arsenal, but with Manchester United as well for the last 3 seasons or so. Now, the interesting thing about this is the director of recruitment at Manchester United is a gentleman called Christopher Vivell. He knows Sesko really, really well because he actually signed Sesko as a 16-year-old when he was at Red Bull Salzburg. So if you look at United's movements in this transfer window so far, the players that they brought in the forward areas, Matheus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo, Ruben Amorim wants them to play in the 2 number 10 roles. But significantly, they are both players who have had significant Premier League experience compared to some of the other signings that they made in the forward areas in recent seasons, the likes of Joshua Zirkzee, Rasmus Højlund and Anthony. You just get the impression that maybe Manchester United feel that they need to have learned lessons from what's happened in the past and bring in players who are ready to go in this transfer window. Exactly. But look, the potential recruitment of a striker, of a number 9, that is likely to happen later in the window, if at all. I'm not saying that is definitely going to happen, but United definitely in the market to bring one in.
Right, talking of strikers, next we're going to discuss Arsenal as Mikel Arteta remains tight-lipped about potential incomings.
Well, you know that I'm not going to play against any player that is not with us yet.
Welcome back to the Transfer Show. Now, much has been made of Arsenal's search for a new striker. Mikel Arteta's side currently out in Singapore, and the Arsenal boss was asked whether a certain Victor Gyökeres would be joining them.
Well, you know that I'm not going to play against any player that is not with us yet.
Short, sweet, and giving absolutely nothing away, was he? James, dare I ask where we are with this deal?
Honestly, with Arteta in any transfer news, it's like water is wet, Arteta dismisses everything.
Yeah.
It's the same every single time. Nothing changes.
No, I know.
You've got to feel for reporters sometimes when
give
you're
him the
put in a
hard
position.
stare. Sometimes that works with me, if I can just get a little bit more out of him.
But he still doesn't. I will not talk about any players. Look, we will talk about it. And what we do know about Victor Gyökeres is the player is currently waiting for permission to fly over to Singapore to finalise his move to Arsenal and join Arsenal's pre-season tour. What we also do know is that final details of a deal worth around £63.5 million are being finalised. Arsenal set to pay a fixed fee of £55.1 million. Plus £8.7 million in add-ons. That's been the stumbling block. That's been the part that's taken a little bit of time to be completed. But once the agreement is finalised, the player's expected to fly to Singapore to undergo a medical and finally sign for Arsenal. And that means that no more questions about Arsenal finally signing a striker. It looks set to happen. And, you know, a pretty good striker at that, and Arsenal are hopeful that he could play some part in their pre-season tour over there. They played AC Milan today, beat them 1-0, lost on penalties, had Kai Havertz back as that number 9 forward, but I'm sure they're looking for that real, true, proper number 9. And, well, Victor Gyökeres scoring 54 goals in 52 games last season for Sporting could well be that player.
And there's another one, Dharmesh, that's edging closer to arriving at Arsenal, isn't there?
Christian Mosquera, he's actually in Singapore. We told you yesterday that he was joining up on Arsenal's pre-season tour. Look, he's understood to have agreed a 5-year deal with a 1-year option. Arsenal will pay Valencia an initial £13 million plus performance-related add-ons. This is now a case of when and not if. We're expecting a formal announcement soon. We even thought it might have come today. It might not come today, but it is going to come very soon. They actually played in a pre-season game today. They beat AC Milan over 90 minutes, and then they lost the penalty.
Yes,
It was all pre-arranged. But they play Newcastle United.
You can tell he wasn't listening to me.
No, I know.
It's fine.
Saka with the goal there, wasn't it?
They'll play Newcastle United on Sunday. So whether he'll be available for that or not, we'll soon find out. But Mosquera is very close to happening, and it is some window this for Arsenal. Kepa Arrizabalaga coming in as a number 2, a one-time £70 million goalkeeper. Christian Norgard coming from Brentford. Martin Zubamendi from Real Sociedad. Noni Madueke as well. And imminently Mosquera and what James mentioned there in Victor Gyökeres. This is an example of how this new system and new structure is working at Arsenal. Edu has left. Andrea Berta has come in, and Mikel Arteta has spoken so highly of the job that he's done. And it's been a case of Andrea Berta speaking to the clubs and being key in the club-to-club negotiations, while Mikel Arteta is really key when it comes to talking to the player. So this combination has given Arsenal what looks like a really, really impressive transfer window.
It's been like a seamless transition since he's come in, but the Mosquera signing's interesting because he's just 21 years old. Now, Arsenal are set and primed to win now. You can see that by the fact they've signed Zubamendi, the fact they've brought in Norgard with the experience, and what looks like Victor Gyökeres, a 27-year-old. They are ready to win now, but they're also looking at the future. A 21-year-old on a 5-year contract to not only provide competition for William Saliba, Gabriel, but also to be part of the first-team squad for the future is really important for clubs to continue to do in this window. But it's also contracts as well. If you look in the summer, they signed Gabriel to a long-term contract. They locked down Miles Lewis-Skelly to a long-term contract. Ethan Nwaneri, it still hasn't been announced, but it looks set to be announced, a new 5-year contract. So not only is Andrea Berta at the forefront of bringing in transfers, of bringing in players, he's also at the forefront of ensuring that the current crop of players are staying long-term at Arsenal.
And they'll need to probably keep doing that, won't they, if you're going to catch Liverpool next season, who they're continuing to strengthen despite having a fantastic season. Where are we with Hugo Ekitike? We are anxiously waiting, aren't we?
I think this is close. We are expecting this deal to be finalised today, actually, before the player flies out to Liverpool's pre-season tour of Asia. Now, the player began a medical yesterday in London. Personal terms have been agreed. And this is a deal worth £79 million with Eintracht Frankfurt. £69 million fixed fee, £10 million in add-ons. That just seems like how all the deals right now are being conducted. That's what we are all reporting on right now. And we know a striker's been a priority for Liverpool in this window. For Frankfurt in particular, they signed a player just a year ago for £14 million. A £65 million profit is incredible work. But we also know with this player, Newcastle were the first to act actually just about a week ago when we reported it was a £70 million bid rejected by Frankfurt from Newcastle. But for Liverpool, it's just showing their ambition in this transfer window. They've already smashed the British transfer window in bringing in Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen, and the spending isn't stopping right now. £79 million for a deal imminent for Hugo Ekitike.
And that takes their spending to around about £300 million, Darmesh. How are they doing this?
I think that question is usually a question that rival clubs ask about Liverpool, because they're spending all of this money, how can they do it? Look, let's be honest, that club is fantastically run, number one. If you go back to last summer, they only brought in Federico Chiesa for about 10 or 11 million pounds. Admittedly, that one didn't work. They made £40 million in sales of Fabio Carvalho, Bobby Clark and Sepp van den Berg. Add to that the increased market revenue plus Premier League money, Champions League money as well, and it's enabled them to spend this much money, and it's cleared the rest of the field by around 70-odd million pounds. But look, this summer, Jarrell Quansah has left for Bayer Leverkusen. Trent Alexander-Arnold's gone to Real Madrid. They even got £10 million for him. Kevin Kelleher's gone to Brentford in a deal that could be worth £18 million. They could still raise funds from the possible sales of Darwin Núñez, Harvey Elliott. That could be £80 million plus. And the way that the PSR works, you've got £105 million rolling, no more losses than £105 million in 3 years. But the way they do their deals, the £300 million that they might spend, it's not £300 million straight out of the accounts. This will be amortised over the length of a contract, whereas the money they receive can go straight into their books to be able to spend. So that's why Liverpool are able to do what they're doing.
Well, we know Chelsea have spent as well, don't we? Second in that list, £218 million so far. But it has come to our attention that there could be another midfielder on the way in Xavi Simons. We will speak more about him in a few minutes' time. Right, big breaking news, and it regards Liverpool. James, what can you tell us?
Well, we were just talking about it before, but Hugo Ekitike is a Liverpool player. It's been confirmed, £79 million deal with Eintracht Frankfurt for the 23-year-old forward, £69 million in as a fixed fee, £10 million as add-ons. He will join Liverpool this season. He'll be flying out with their pre-season squad, and he will be a Liverpool player, a striker that's been high on the priority list for Liverpool throughout this window, has finally been completed. Now, I've got a bit of background on this. Now, it probably looks from the outset that Liverpool maybe were hijacking Newcastle's player after they made a bid. We'll get back to that, but Newcastle were a bit late to the party after missing out on Liam Delap, João Pedro. Liverpool have actually been in contact with Hugo Ekitike's camp since January, and Arne Slot has spoken to the player at the end of the season. Now, Manchester United also actually tried to swoop in last minute for Ekitike, but the player rejected that opportunity. He was sold on Liverpool. He wants Liverpool. Now, why Ekitike? Well, Liverpool feel he's a multifunctional centre-forward, so not only can he play through the middle as a number 9, he can drop in as a secondary striker role, even operate wide, which works with their fluidity of their attack that Arne Slot likes to do. For Liverpool, they look at the data and they're so impressed by his numbers from a data perspective. They also look at the uptake. So he's 23 years old. Is he a player that can improve moving forward? Well, they believe he is. And they believe, alongside the likes of Alexander Isak, that Hugo Ekitike has the potential to be one of the best players in the world. And if you look on data side, which Liverpool tend to do with a lot of their signs, with all their signings, they believe historical data tracking is quite limited at the moment. But Haaland and Mbappe are the only strikers under the age of 23 who have shown better potential at a comparable age. So this is how highly Liverpool rate Hugo Ekitike. But as I mentioned at the start, not hijacking Newcastle's player. This is what we reported a week ago, that Newcastle made the first bid, £70 million rejected, but Liverpool have continued to talk to the player. They've been interested in him since the start of the year.
And he wanted to move, didn't he?
Yeah, and just picking up on what James said about Newcastle United, they clearly want to bring in a striker themselves, and they're expected to go back in with an improved offer for the Brentford forward, Johan Visser. They had a £25 million bid rejected earlier on this week. It all came to a head yesterday because Johan Visser was with the Brentford squad out in Portugal for the pre-season training camp. He returned to the UK a couple of days ago to have talks with Brentford over his future. Now, if you're returning from a training camp pre-season to talk over your future, I think you can read between the lines that the player does actually want to leave. He feels at 28 years of age, with a year left of his Brentford contract, plus admittedly a club option of a year as well, he doesn't think he's going to get an opportunity like this again. Newcastle United, Tottenham Hotspur both interested, Nottingham Forest interested as well, but those first two clubs can offer Champions League football as well. So I think Johan Visser is thinking to himself, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity now. At my age, at this stage of my career, I want to play Champions League football. So we expect Newcastle United to follow up on that first bid and to improve on that bid and to see if they can test the resolve of Brentford. Because the last thing Brentford wanted to do in this transfer window is to lose both Bryan Mbeumo, who's gone to Manchester United, and Johan Visser.
Just very quickly, Ekitike, no shirt number yet.
No shirt number.
Interesting.
Yet. No shirt number. But as soon as it's announced, I'm sure we'll share that news.
Later on in the summer, they said that he will get his number.
I'm certain Liverpool fans will be waiting eagerly to get Ekitike on the back of a shirt, considering how highly he's been thought of. And what's interesting, just a bit more on this as well, is even with Newcastle United bidding, Liverpool were very relaxed. They knew that Eintracht Frankfurt wanted a bit of a bidding war, and they picked their time to go in for their play. They did something very similar when they signed Luis Diaz, and they timed it perfectly well. And they're spending, close to £300 million now. But what a way to improve on a Premier League title by investing that much in your current squad for the new season.
Just very quickly on that shirt number.
Yes.
Darwin
I
Núñez
knew you were going to say, where's the number?
Wears number 9 at the moment. He's actually, I'm just looking at his history. It's quite good to get the history of the...
He wore shirt number 27
He's
before.
worn number 9 a couple of times,
9.
but not for like... this. No, Paris Saint-Germain, one season he wore number 9. Number 11 for Eintracht Frankfurt.
Yes.
So, number 9.
And who's number 11 for Liverpool? Mohamed Salah.
I don't think he's going to get that shot.
I don't either. Right, Manchester United forward Marcus Rashford has completed a season-long loan move to Barcelona. The deal includes an option to buy him next summer, which we understand to be around £26 million. Rashford has described Barcelona as a club where dreams come true.
In the old story of Barcelona, at the beginning, there were some English players, but the last one who came was Gary Lineker in the 80s, a long time ago. He scored 51 goals in 138 games. Do you expect to improve him and become the most important English player in Barcelona history?
I hope. I hope so. You know, it's not easy for players to come to such a big club and perform. So, you know, like I said before, I am ready, and I am going to accept these challenges that I'm going to face. But I'm going to enjoy it. You know, I'm here to show myself, to show my quality, and to try to improve the team to win. So, of course, it will be good for me to score lots of goals and be the highest scoring, you know, British player to play for Barcelona. But it's more important to me that we win. So, yeah.
I want to ask you what it means for you to play with Lamine Yamal.
No, he's a very special talent, and you know, for me, I feel like definitely last season is one of the leading players in the world, if not the best in the world. So Yeah, it's exciting. You know, everybody in sports wants to play with the best, and there's a lot of talent in this squad. I am learning about that in the last few days, and yeah, I am happy. I'm eager to play with them on the pitch, and yeah, maybe I can help them, and they can for sure help me. So it's going to be good. It's going to be exciting.
Hi Marcus, here Jorge Agüero from Radio Nacional de España. What's your opinion and what do you expect about Spanish Football League? Do you think that it's better than Premier League?
I don't know yet because I have not played, but for sure from playing against Spanish teams in European competitions in the past, it's a very technical league. You know, everybody can enjoy the ball, everybody plays well with the football. But these are the things that excite me about the league. It's the element of, you know, the unknown. Not really 100% sure of what I'm going to be facing, but you know, I'm ready to face it and try my best to win. But on the journey, I'm going to enjoy it. Thank you.
És el torn d'Àlex Pintanel de RAC1.
Alex.
Hi Marcus,
Okay.
good luck. Do you dream of winning the Champions League this season with Barca?
Yeah, for sure. Is one of the biggest trophies in the world. So this is what the club was fighting for last year, and you know, I was watching the games last season, and they was very close. And I hope this year we can take the next step and, you know, try to win the trophy, because you know, this is a historic club in football, and they are known for winning the biggest prizes. So yeah, I'm just here to help the club do that, and yeah, it's a dream of mine for sure.
Right, we have more breaking news, and Ipswich Town has just announced the signing of Ashley Young. He signs on a one-year deal, having spent the vast majority of his career in the Premier League, obviously with the likes of Manchester United, Aston Villa and Everton. Over 750 club appearances to date, has won numerous titles, but Kieran McKenna has told the club website that he has had a fantastic career. He's maintained an extremely high level of professionalism and competitiveness throughout it. He's still playing at a very good level, and we feel his leadership and experience will be valuable to this group this season, and he's hungry to contribute on and off the pitch. So that is your breaking news. Ashley Young joining Ipswich on a one-year deal.
Big breaking news all round, it feels like this evening, but now it's time to go around the club, starting with this man.
Thank you, James. Sporting striker Victor Gyökeres is awaiting permission to fly to Singapore and complete his move to Arsenal. The last details on a deal worth around £63.5 million are being finalised.
Aston Villa are looking to strengthen across the board, but the lack of Champions League football has left them short of funds and pulling power.
Bournemouth in the market for a central defender and a striker in this window.
Brentford forward Johan Wissa has returned to UK from their pre-season training camp for talks with the club's hierarchy over his future.
Brighton striker Evan Ferguson has joined Roma on a season-long loan. Roma have the option to make it permanent for around £34 million.
Manchester City have approached Burnley over re-signing goalkeeper James Trafford.
Chelsea have held talks about signing RB Leipzig midfielder Xavi Simons and Ajax centre-back Yoel Hato.
Crystal Palace defender Rob Holding is set to depart the club, with Sheffield United and MLS side Colorado Rapids leading the race for his signature.
A right-back has been a position Everton have been looking to strengthen throughout this transfer window.
Fulham are interested in signing Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall and are continuing to work on a deal to sign Arsenal forward Reece Nelson.
Leeds United are in talks over the signing of Feyenoord winger Igor Paixão.
Hugo Ekitike has completed his move to Liverpool in a deal worth £79 million.
Manchester City want Ederson to stay at the club amid interest from Galatasaray.
Barcelona have confirmed the signing of Marcus Rashford on a season-long loan from Manchester United.
Newcastle United are expected to make a fresh offer for Brentford striker Johan Wissa after their opening £25 million bid was rejected.
Nottingham Forest are considering an approach to Bologna for winger Dan Ndoye, but face competition from Napoli.
Granit Xhaka wants to join Sunderland, but his head coach Erik ten Hag says Bayer Leverkusen can't afford to let him go.
Spurs continue to remain in a stalemate with Nottingham Forest over the signing of Morgan Gibbs-White.
West Ham United in talks with Callum Wilson's representatives over a deal to sign him. Wilson, of course, is a free agent.
And Wolves are close to completing the signing of Fluminense winger John Arias in a £15 million deal. Not bad.
Now, before the major breaking news about Hugo Ekitike happened, I promised you we'd discuss Chelsea, and we will do that in a few minutes' time. Right, we can't do a transfer show, can we, without mentioning Chelsea. James, could be 2 in and 2 out?
It could be. Let's start with incomings. Now, we spoke a lot about Liverpool's incomings. Let's have a look, though, at the business that Chelsea have done already in this window. Unsurprisingly, that they've been very, very active. So we're going to see right now likes of Jamie Gittins from Borussia Dortmund, João Pedro, Liam Delap, Estavio, Dario Usuga. There we go. Good timing. Mike Penders, Mamadou Sarr. They've already spent an outlay of £218 million. But we know how Chelsea work. They are always looking for the future. They're looking to sell players, looking to buy players. It's like a consistent, almost merry-go-round, but it's working for them. Lawrence Stewart, Paul Winstanley have done an unbelievable job for Chelsea right now. So what we know, Xavi Simons, let's start with him. Chelsea have held talks over signing this player, 22-year-old Netherlands international from RB Leipzig. He's got 2 years remaining in his contract, set to leave. Now, 2 years remaining on the contract seems to be a good time for clubs to cash in on players where they can maximise the value. This is a player Chelsea have been looking at, but they're not the only club in for the attacking midfielder. Bayern Munich also a keen suitor, and he only joined from PSG in January, so a really short spell there. The other player, Jero Hato, 19-year-old left-back from Ajax, real potential, this player. His agent has confirmed to it that, actually, I think it was the Telegraph. I can't really pronounce it, but something like that. You understand what I'm saying?
The Telegraph, basically.
The Telegraph in the Netherlands. And he's confirmed that talks are ongoing with Chelsea and Ajax over his signing. So busy are Chelsea.
And Domesh, in terms of those who could leave?
Yeah, so Fulham are interested in signing the Chelsea midfielder Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. It's understood Fulham have explored the conditions of a potential deal, both a loan and a permanent move as well. He featured the Dewsbury-Hall in 6 of Chelsea's 8 FIFA Club World Cup matches, but he only started once. He hasn't been a regular since he's arrived at Chelsea. He's still got a contract, though, until 2029. And the club have got the option of a further year, just in case they want another year. So Fulham, I think, we're expecting them to formally approach Chelsea about the possibility of doing a deal for Dewsbury-Hall. Another player who Chelsea look like they will listen to offers for, and they have been listening to offers for the last 2 or 3 windows, is Carney Chukwuemeka. Now, according to Sky in Germany, RB Leipzig are pursuing a move for the Chelsea midfielder. He spent last season at Borussia Dortmund on loan. And I just wonder, because Xavi Simons is at RB Leipzig, whether Chelsea will use the relationship they've got with RB Leipzig in trying to get Xavi Simons in trying to get Chukwuemeka to RB Leipzig.
OK, let's try and rattle through a few more. Manchester City, James, some talk Ederson could be on his way.
Yeah, Sky Germany reported that Turkish club Galatasaray are confident in reaching a deal and personal terms believed to be verbally agreed with his agent, but no official approach has been made. Ederson, entering the last year of his contract, was actually quoted in the summer at the Club World Cup saying all this news about leaving is actually fake news. I'm happy at Manchester City. He said it gives me everything to go back to the Premier League again, try to win that and try to win the Champions League. Pep Guardiola's been pretty clear with any players who want to leave the club. If they come to him, say, I want to leave, he won't stand in their way. But 1 year left on his contract. Unsurprisingly, there's probably talk around his future.
But against the backdrop of all of that, Manchester City are in talks over the potential re-signing of the Burnley goalkeeper James Trafford. Now, City actually sold James Trafford to Burnley back in 2023, and they inserted a £40 million buyback clause. So if they were just to meet that and James Trafford wanted to talk, then fine. But it seems that City want to renegotiate or negotiate on that buyback clause. And If they want to do that, they would have to approach Burnley to get permission then to talk to Trafford. Newcastle also maintained an interest in James Trafford. They had a £27 million bid rejected earlier on in this window. Now, if Trafford was to leave, Burnley are doing due diligence on trying to bring in a keeper themselves. And interestingly, a couple of the names that have come up with regard to interest from Burnley are Manchester City's Stefan Ortega and Newcastle United's Martin Dubravka, two of the clubs who are actually after James Trafford. And interestingly there, both of those players have entered the final year of their contracts with their clubs.
And this is one of the most intriguing transfer stories. Could Granit Xhaka really be back in the Premier League?
Well, Gail, yesterday I was here reporting that this was close and that Sunderland were close to agreeing a deal with Bayer Leverkusen. The players agreed a 3-year contract already. He has spoken via his agent, say that Sunderland's an exciting challenge for Xhaka and he hopes that Bayer Leverkusen will understand. Well, on that, Erik ten Hag, who's taken over from Xabi Alonso, I would say simply doesn't understand. No. His point is the fact that Leverkusen can't afford to lose him. They've already lost 3 big players in the transfer window, likes of Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, Jonathan Tah as well has left the club. He said, we can't let anyone go. He described it as being neglect to the structure of the football club if they were to let him go, and that he's too important. So I would say watch this space on that one.
Yeah, well, we mentioned it about 10 minutes ago. Ashley Young heading to Ipswich for a year. Fill us in on some of those details, Dharmesh.
Yeah, he actually turned 40 2 weeks ago. He came on the transfer show a couple of Sundays ago as well, and he said, look, I do want to carry on playing, even though I'm 40. There were lots of championship clubs who were interested in him, including his former club, Watford, but they couldn't agree a deal. He was speaking, his representatives as well were speaking to a number of championship clubs. Ipswich Town were the ones that came through. They've agreed a 1-year deal with Ashley Young. They announced it in the past 20 minutes or so. And look, he's been a Premier League player, so Ipswich Town have seen this guy as someone who can bring great leadership qualities to Ipswich Town. And I think the big factor in this was Kieran McKenna, the Ipswich head coach, used to be a coach at Manchester United under Jose Mourinho. So Ashley Young knows what he's all about because he's actually played for Manchester United while Kieran McKenna was a coach there.
Yeah, shrewd signing, isn't it? And Dharmesh, you touched on it in the wrap there, but Callum Wilson's really interesting. We knew he'd end up somewhere, and it could well be West Ham.
It could be. Look, his contract at Newcastle United expired. He had lots of injury problems. West Ham United have tried to sign Callum Wilson on so many different occasions. They're in talks now with his representatives over a deal to sign Callum Wilson. I think the discussions are centring over the length of contract because of his injury issues. West Ham United flew out to the States today for their club's pre-season tour. Their first game of that tour is against Manchester United on Sunday. I don't think we're expecting Callum Wilson to be part of that, but West Ham United definitely interested in bringing him in.
Brilliant. Gents, thank you very much. Busy already, isn't it? 2 bits of breaking news in the last hour or so. Ashley Young, we just mentioned there. But this is the big one, isn't it? Hugo Ekitike finally agreed. We've seen the official statement, the official pictures, and he is joining Liverpool. An agreement has been reached. No shirt number yet, which is intriguing, isn't it? But part of the Premier League winning side, £300 million spent already. They have certainly made a statement so far in this window, haven't they?